It was a chilly Tuesday morning in downtown Chicago, and Ellie had just started her shift at Rosie's Diner. The place was a local favorite, known for its cozy atmosphere, hearty meals, and Ellie's warm smile. She was a hardworking waitress, juggling multiple tables while keeping the customers happy. For Ellie, the diner wasn't just a job, it was her second home. The morning rush had just begun, and Ellie was moving swiftly between tables, balancing coffee refills and breakfast orders. Regular customers greeted her with friendly smiles, and she reciprocated with cheerful banter. But as the doorbell jingled, signaling a new arrival, the energy in the room shifted. A tall man in a long coat and dark sunglasses walked in, his posture rigid and his expression unreadable. He carried an air of impatience, looking around as if he'd rather be anywhere else. Ellie approached him with her usual smile. "Good morning? Table for one?" she asked politely. "Just a coffee," he muttered, barely making eye contact. Ellie led him to a small table by the window and handed him a menu. "Anything else I can get started for you?" "No," he snapped. "Just make it quick." Ellie blinked, taken aback by his tone. She had dealt with difficult customers before, but something about his curt demeanor unsettled her. Still, she chose to remain professional. "Of course," she said softly, walking away to fetch his coffee. As she returned with the steaming mug, the man was already drumming his fingers impatiently on the table. "Finally," he muttered under his breath. Ellie placed the coffee in front of him and forced a smile. "Let me know if you need anything else." Over the next hour, the man continued to radiate impatience. He waved her over multiple times, complained that his coffee wasn't hot enough, and even grumbled about the diner's ambiance. Ellie's co-workers whispered about him in the kitchen, calling him Mr. Grumpy. "Why are you even bothering with him?" asked Sarah, another waitress. Ellie shrugged. "Maybe he's just having a bad day. Everyone deserves kindness, even on their worst days." Sarah rolled her eyes. "You're too nice for your own good, Ellie." Despite the man's rudeness, Ellie continued to serve him with patience. She refilled his coffee without being asked, brought him a complimentary slice of pie, and even offered to move him to a quieter table. Each gesture was met with indifference or irritation, but Ellie didn't waver. As the lunch rush began, Ellie noticed the man staring out the window, lost in thought. His rigid demeanor seemed to soften for a moment, and Ellie decided to take a chance. "Everything okay?" she asked gently. The man looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Why do you care?" Ellie hesitated. "Because sometimes people just need someone to ask." The man sighed, rubbing his temples. "It's nothing, just a lot on my plate right now." Ellie nodded. "I get that. Life can be overwhelming sometimes. But a good meal and a little kindness can help, even if just for a moment." The man didn't respond, but seemed to appreciate her words. For the first time, he thanked her when she refilled his coffee. It was a small gesture, but it felt like progress. Later that afternoon, the man finished his coffee and asked for the check. Ellie handed it to him with a smile. "Take care," she said warmly. As he reached for his wallet, a commotion erupted at the counter. A young man holding a tablet was frantically whispering to Sarah, who gasped and pointed toward the man. "Ellie, do you know who that is?" she hissed. Ellie frowned, confused. "No. Should I?" "That's James Barrett," Sarah whispered. "The billionaire. He owns half the skyscrapers in the city." Ellie's eyes widened. She had heard of James Barrett, the elusive real estate tycoon known for avoiding the public eye. His company had built some of the city's most iconic landmarks, but he rarely appeared in interviews or photographs. Ellie glanced back at the man who was now counting cash to pay his bill. Suddenly, his impatience and curt demeanor made sense. A man of his stature was probably used to getting what he wanted without delay. As James Barrett stood to leave, Ellie approached him, her heart racing. "Thank you for coming in today," she said, her voice steady. He looked at her for a moment, then nodded. "You've been kind," he said reluctantly. More patient than most. Ellie smiled. Everyone deserves kindness. James paused, as if considering her words. Then, to Ellie's surprise, he pulled out a business card and handed it to her. If you ever need anything, call this number. Ellie took the card, stunned. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. With a final nod, James Barrett left the diner, leaving Ellie and her co-workers buzzing with excitement. The story didn't end there. A week later, Ellie received a call from an unknown number. On the other end was James Barrett's assistant, who informed her that Mr. Barrett wanted to meet with her. Ellie arrived at his office, a towering skyscraper in the heart of downtown. She was greeted warmly and escorted to a spacious conference room where James Barrett waited. I've been thinking about our conversation, he said, gesturing for her to sit. You reminded me of something important that day, how far a little kindness can go. I want to offer you an opportunity. Ellie listened in awe as Barrett explained his plan. He wanted to create a charitable initiative focused on supporting workers in the hospitality industry. People like Ellie who often went above and beyond but rarely received recognition. And he wanted Ellie to be a part of it. Over the following months, Ellie worked closely with Barrett's team to develop the initiative. She helped design programs that provided financial assistance, career training, and mental health support for service industry workers. Her insights and compassion became the heart of the project, which quickly gained attention and support from businesses across the city. Ellie's life transformed in ways she could never have imagined. She moved out of her small apartment, traveled for speaking engagements, and even appeared on local news segments to promote the initiative. Yet, through it all, she remained humble, crediting her success to the simple act of kindness that started it all. For James Barrett, the encounter with Ellie was equally transformative. It reminded him of the values he had lost sight of in his relentless pursuit of success. Inspired by Ellie's patience and warmth, he became more involved in philanthropic efforts, using his wealth and influence to make a positive impact. The initiative Ellie and Barrett created grew beyond their expectations, inspiring similar programs nationwide. Workers in diners, cafes, and hotels shared stories of how the support had changed their lives. Ellie's name became synonymous with kindness and resilience, proving that one small act could spark a movement. And for Ellie, it all began with a rude customer and a decision to respond with compassion.